What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. We are back here once again, and you already know what time it is. It is time to bust that rhyme about that grit and that grime, talking about that slime. Going down the East Coast line, engine number 9, going down the East Coast line. When you see me in front of your TV, 3 things for certain, 1 thing's for certain, and 3 things are for sure. Number 1, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number 2, we came to give you stats, not none of that static. Number 3, perhaps the most important number of them all, number 3. Want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. You may be asking yourself, how, Don? How, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's simple. I'm telling you, I'm not going to keep it from you. You already know. Smash like button, subscribe, and share. And once you've done those 3 things, in any order you've done them in, you've indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic, and you know who you share it with, right? You share it with your peeps. Share it with your peoples. And when you bring your peoples to sharing is caring, to the stream, and you tell them, you say, look at here. And you tell them what the stream has. You say, it got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, hog, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken. You name beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, beans. You name it. You name it. We got all the shoes. We got all the slews. We got all the stuff. We got all the news. We got all the talk. We got all the chews. We got all the stuff. We got all the dues. We got to pay them. You got to pay the dues. You know what we're talking about today? We're talking about something actually was shrouded in secrecy. It's got something to do with Terrion Arnold. And we already went over that stuff yesterday. As I said to you, if you mention the man's name 1 time in a 27-page text thread, it doesn't really look like he did too much. When your lawyer comes out after not even seeing the text messages, and he makes a statement and says, there are no witness testimonies against my client, it means that Terrion already done dropped the bag on some of them boys, or maybe all of them boys and girls. That's what that means. So where there's smoke, there's fire, truly. But I really don't think that there's too much smoke coming from this, y'all. Even though I don't think there's too much smoke coming from this, it might affect some things, and we're going to get into that when we get into that. What up, though, everybody in the chat? What up, though, to the people who are working, lurking, twerking, smirking? But if you're doing that other thing that's freaky, I want you to keep that to yourself, like Karen and our bland-ass potato salad. If you're doing the other thing that's very illegal, I don't want to know about it. Keep it to yourself, because I don't want to be a witness at your trial. And you know why I don't want to be a witness at your trial? Ain't time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. We don't have time for it. We got other things that we got to do with life. There's no time to be sitting up in no courtroom testifying, snitching. I ain't trying to get no stitches. Get snitches to get stitches. All right. What up, though, Rich L? What up, though, Robert Stevens? What up, though, Mark Garcia? We got some people in the house, and we got some others in the house. They'll be along. What up, though, Tactical Sport? Just got out of surgery about 2 hours ago. Hope you're doing well, my brother. Hope you are doing well. What was the surgery for, if you don't mind my asking? If it's too personal, you let me know. Robert Stevens says MCDP get the chance going early. How far did we get into part 2? I think did we get to the end of part 2? I think we did. But if we got some stuff to clear up, we'll go ahead and clear that up before we get into the rest of it. Yeah, we pretty much we finished it. Because the other thing is the draft implications, and we're going to talk about some draft implications today. But you know what? I will go ahead and read you some draft implications from here, and you're not going to like them. Here we go. Updated draft implications. Adding Wanham and Turner gives the Lions warm bodies at edge. Somebody programmed this bot, and it seems like it's Brad Holmes. But it absolutely shouldn't stop them from drafting a premier pass rusher early. That was not Brad Holmes. So it looked like it was programmed by me. Because Brad Holmes would never say anything about drafting a premier pass rusher early. The same goes for McCreary at nickel. It's a great stopgap, but it shouldn't prevent Holmes from taking a foundational piece in the secondary if the value aligns on draft night. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. That's what we're going to be talking about today. That is a perfect segue. That is a perfect segue because that is the last bit of information that we have. Who knows what they're going to do at tackle? But I'm really not concerned with what they're doing on the offensive end because this regime has been doing stuff on the offensive end for the entire time that they have been here. When are they going to pay real attention to the defense? You got Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson. That's about it. That's about it. Y'all want to talk about Aleem McNeil? You can talk about Aleem McNeil all you want, but keep him in the conversation with people who are often injured. Right? Josh Pascal was a bust. Levi Onwuzurike is a bust. Who else we got on here that's a bust? Right? We had Cam Sutton. We had the stopgap in Vildor. We had Jerry Jacobs. Jerry Jacobs was from the last people, right? I think. Did Jerry Jacobs come in? I think he came in. No, I think he came in with these guys because he was undrafted rookie free agent and Jeffrey Namumbo Ohelno Kuda. And the only reason I'm referencing this person is because Jeffrey Namumbo Ohelno Kuda took him under his wing. And I feel like he was better than Jeffrey Namumbo. Jeffrey Namumbo Ohelno Kuda was the 3rd overall pick. Terrible. By Bob Quinn. That was his last first round pick. And Jerry Jacobs was undrafted. Took him under his wing. Best of friends. I think Jerry Jacobs was one of Brad Holmes' first signings as an undrafted rookie free agent in his first draft. I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm right. You let me know if I'm not correct. But yeah, I mean, so we had Cam Sutton, we had Emmanuel Mosley, we had Carlton Davis, but hey, don't keep him. We had we had Kendall Vildor. Now we got DJ Reed. Now we got right? Now we got Terrion Arnold, who is the impetus for today's show, the trouble that he's in or the trouble that he's not in, but what will that do in the draft? We got Ennis Breakstraw. You might want to call him Rakestraw by his given name, but he breaks just like straw. He can't stay healthy. Brad Holmes likes to sit in interviews and take victory laps over drafting Ennis Breakstraw. One thing that you do, I want to address this, and obviously it's not a problem because I put them out there. One thing when you put out shorts is that there are people that will consume the short, but they will not consume the whole show. So when they consume the short is a highlight, and they don't really have any context. So yesterday we talked about what would you have given up for Jared Verse, right? And the person comes in there talking about ain't no way the Bengals would have done this, done that. You can't. You would have had to give up 2 firsts to get up that far, because this person doesn't really know how trades work. So they said we would have had to give up 2 firsts, and we sat here and we went to the mockmachine.com, sponsor of the show. And the mockmachine.com said we give up a first and a second this same year to move up from 29 to 19. So a first and a second means you draft Jared Verse and you don't draft Ennis Rakestraw. I wouldn't have been opposed to that. I really wouldn't have been opposed to that. Because if you could have just had Carlton Davis and somebody else, right? Because remember, Carlton Davis was here that year. He was here in Terrion Arnold's rookie year. That was his first big homie. That was his first vet, Carlton Davis. So if it would have been Carlton Davis and some other guy that you signed, wouldn't have been a big deal. You know why? Because you'd have had a Jared Verse on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. And they would have been having a sack party, pause, at the quarterback every night. Pause. It would have been a meeting at the quarterback more often than not. With Jared Verse's relentlessness, he would have been chasing quarterbacks into Hutch's arms, which is the fever dream of this regime. We need someone to funnel everything to Hutch. If Hutch can get 30 sacks because we're funneling everything to him, that proves that I was the smartest man in the room for drafting him second overall. No, you were the luckiest man in the room because Jacksonville was the dumbest man in the room. So that would have boosted the campaign of Aiden Hutchinson, greatest DE of all time, which it seems like that's what they're trying to do with the fact that he plays 1,000 snaps a year, never comes off the field, and can't get no help on the other side because we got to funnel all the action with all these ineffective edge rushers like the Josh Pascals and the Marcus Davenports of the world. No room for the James Houstons. No room for the El Quadin Muhammads. No room for the Leonard Floyds of the world. No room for the Von Millers of the world. The guys that don't fit your prototype. No room for those guys. But had we had Jared Verse on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson, does it matter who was on the other side of Carlton Davis? You probably could have had Jerry Jacobs out there. If we're being honest. Jerry Jacobs is a handsier version of Terrion Arnold. Jerry Jacobs was committing all those penalties because he was getting burnt. So, I mean, do with that what you will. But I just wanted to address that because, you know, that's what we deal with. So come on over to the show. Won't you come on and go with me? Oh, commenter, come on over to my place. Come on over to my place. All right. Shout out Jaheim. If y'all knew the meaning of Jaheim's name, it would be terrible. I know the meaning of it. And it's a terrible meaning. If y'all want to know, I'll tell you. Just ask me. No bean tacos tonight. Well, that might save you colon some. I found it interesting that no text sent or received by TA's phone. 9 times TA was mentioned by name in 281 text messages between the defendants. And again, that's smells like a setup, but also I can't even say why would you be setting up Terrion Arnold, because that would have been from the defendants. That's a setup by the defendants. Somebody knows Terrion Arnold in that situation one of those people was alleged to be his cousin, and he said it's not my cousin, whatever. But there is some intimate knowledge of Terrion Arnold, and that person just seems like they were trying to hit a lick. So you mention his name multiple times in 281 text messages to try to implicate him and act like he has some dealings in the situation. But if you didn't send a text message to him about what was going down, it kind of makes me believe that you didn't have his blessings or permission or anything to be doing what you were doing. Because you send him a random text message like, yo, you ready to do this? Everybody's on deck. We got all the peeps. We got all the weapons. We got all the guns. We got all the seconds, right? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm at home on the game. I'm playing Madden right now. What are you talking about? Oh, you know, that thing that we talked about. I have no, what, are you playing a prank on me? Stop playing on my phone, right? These, if what it looks like is that way, then that would tell you why they didn't actually text Terrion Arnold. So that's the crazy part. Tiger Woods just copped a DUI charge today in a rollover crash. That man, bruh, go enjoy your money, your Swedish nannies, all that. Just, bruh, what are you doing? Didn't he get into a crash before? That's crazy, bro. Stay away from behind the wheel of the car. Bruh. If you trying to harm yourself, don't do it publicly, Tiger. Like, I'm so tired of these sports stars who were once great legends of the game or whatever, and then they want to ruin their life publicly. Don't do it publicly, bro. Your legacy already been tarnished, and you just tarnishing it even more. Don't do it publicly. For what? Do it privately. Like, yo, I'm going to get drunk and crash my car. It's going to be over. I'm going to drive off a cliff. Well, you missed the cliff. You missed it. Come on, man. What up, though, Mark Garcia? Lipoma removal? Well, shout out to you. Okay, you got me intrigued. What are you going to tell us that would make us mad? I'll tell you in a second. I'm going through your comments, and then I'll get y'all. What up, though, Lamico Cardenas? Nothing major. I feel you. Well, glad you got out the surgery and you came on over to the Cats. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was nothing major. Yeah, I know Jacobs was a UDFA. I'm just trying to make sure that Brad Holmes is the one that signed him. Nope, I was up and walking about 30 minutes after, and they put me to sleep. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not major at all. Shout out to you, though. Glad you are up and walking and everything is okay. LOL. You known ball knower. What defense do the Lions run? Bet you can't, LOL. You don't know ball, and you and Syndicate are weirdo. Okay, well, goodbye, Jay Phoenix. Why is there always someone? Like, go do something with your life. If you don't want to watch, the door is that way, and it's also that way, and it's that way, and guess where else it is? Down there. That's where the door is. Go find one of them and make an exit. You know what I'm saying? Go find one of them and make an exit. Lord have mercy. What does MTDC say every single time? We want to stop the run first. Never really heard anything else. Just draft a crack. What up, okay, press? One of the defendants want to know if they can cook. We gonna cook when we get over there. They got some lemon pound cake over there. They got some lemon pound cake. All right. Now, we have an article. This is what might make you mad. METHOD, man. METHOD, man. All right, here we go. We have an article from Detroit Lions on SI Vito Chirco. It says one CB Detroit Lions could target in every round of the 2026 NFL draft. The thing that's going to make you mad is that he said every round, which means the first round through the 7th. No one cares about rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. If you're gonna take a cornerback and you're gonna do it in rounds 3 through 7, we don't care. We're not gonna be angry. We will be livid and incensed if you take a cornerback in round 1. We'll be less angry, but still annoyed if you take one in round 2. Round 3 is the sweet spot. You need to take a cornerback in round 3 and see if he can be better than Ennis Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold. What you don't need to be doing is taking a cornerback in rounds 1 and 2. Like you did in 2024 when you took 2 of them, which to this point have not amounted to anything. One of them can't even get on the field. You can't make the club in the tub, and he's always on IR. He's always in the cold tub. That there is Ennis Rakestraw. That there is Ennis Rakestraw. Right? Let me see what we got here. Chappelle Show. Wow. I think I speak for most when I say Brad is the greatest GM of all time. However, I don't believe that all Lions 365 sent me. Best GM that we've been dealt. What up, Mr. Detroit City says, keep up the great work, Don. I just don't know anymore. Yeah, that's interesting. Shout out, Mike. So one CB Detroit Lions could target in every round of the 2026 NFL draft. I am going to disagree in rounds 1 and 2. Just fundamentally. I don't want y'all to be shocked. I fundamentally disagree with taking a cornerback at 17 or 50. Because let me save that. All right. As the Detroit Lions continue building a roster capable of returning to the playoffs in 2026, adding young, cost-controlled talent at cornerback via this April's NFL draft should remain a priority. Should it? Or will it? Because I don't know if it should remain a priority. I don't know if it should. Tactical Sport says best GM that the Lions had, but it's not that high of a bar to be clear. This is clear. Not that high of a bar. All right. I mean, I still throw in Martin Mayhew's name in the hat as far as where we got to. Martin Mayhew, not him. What's his name? Is it Chuck Schmidt, the one that drafted Barry Sanders? We got to the NFC Championship game. Man, we got the brakes beat off of us. Is it Brad Holmes because we didn't necessarily get the brakes beat off of us when we got to the NFC Championship game? I mean, we got to the same place. We didn't advance to the Super Bowl. So I still do. We have to give shout out to my man. We say it's Brad Holmes, but we've gotten to the NFC Championship with Brad Holmes. The greatest GM of all time will be the one that gets us to the Super Bowl. Even if he doesn't win it, because this franchise has never been to a Super Bowl. How difficult is it? The Super Bowl been around for 60 years. You would think one time in 60 years, one time. I haven't even been alive for 60 years. One time? Not once? All right. Here's one intriguing option at corner in each round. The Lions presently own a draft pick. First round, Mansour Delane, LSU. Delane is one of the consistent top options at the position. If the Lions are going to draft one at number 17, this might be their guy. As NFL.com's Lance Zierlein writes, he excels in press coverage, altering release timing with punches and slides, smooth hips, and efficient footwork keep him connected in man coverage. While his processing allows for a quick transition and off-man and short zone looks, he has good top-end speed for vertical phasing, but is inconsistent turning to find the football. While he locks in on the route at times, he's rarely oblivious to the quarterback's actions, allowing him to slam catch windows shut and play the football. Now, is that a good scouting report? Is it a better scouting report than anybody that we currently have on the roster? You damn right. And eventually, would you be happy that this man is on the team if he is everything, if he winds up being everything that says in the scouting report? 100%. But the fact that Terrion Arnold's legal trouble is the reason that you're drafting a corner in round one instead of maybe getting an edge and maybe getting a tackle for the future is the reason that I don't like this. Now, the capology from the capologist sitting in his house in captivity at the Capitol, as captivating as it may be, shout out Mr. Morale 313, talking about Max Crosby, and we were in on Max Crosby, and until then, but once this Terrion Arnold stuff came out, the Max Crosby thing was, So we couldn't give up a first and a second or first and a third for Max Crosby because we needed that first. We needed that number 17 to draft a corner. I don't think so. I don't think they were ever in on Max Crosby. Not seriously. Based off of them not having a budget, which was as easy, getting a budget was as easy as clearing cap space by restructuring 3 players. And you only restructured one partially. Maybe that's all you were willing to do, but that doesn't mean that you didn't have the money. Those financial constraints didn't mean that you didn't have the money. You had the money. It's sitting right there in front of you. You can go get some more right now if you want to. But because you don't want to, that's the issue. Not that you don't have it. He told you we spend all the money that's available to us. but there is more money available. You just haven't made it available. That's one thing. The LSU product earned a 90.5 overall grade from Pro Football Focus during the 2025 season, ranking third among 897 qualified cornerbacks. He also recorded the fourth best coverage grade of all cornerbacks, 90.7. Delane would easily be a week one starter in the Motor City, and that's the problem. That's the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to have Mansour Delane on the team, but it's just the circumstances. This would be the second straight year, but it wouldn't be, you know what? It would be nothing near the Isaac TeSlaa pick. The Isaac TeSlaa pick was just unnecessary. Moving up 32 spots, using 3 third-round picks on a wide receiver. When you could barely figure out how to get the ball to JMO, you bringing another dude in here? Okay, cool. That was pointless. The Mansour Delane thing would be a need, but it's a need because our DB snob of a GM can't snob. It's a need because our DB snob of a GM can't get it right when it comes to cornerbacks. He's had multiple bites at the apple. The only bite that wasn't rotten, that didn't have a worm in it, was Carlton Davis, and we couldn't keep him here. I understand he had broke his jaw. I understand he misses games here and there. But if you're talking about a cornerback that actually locks some stuff down and actually can shut down one side of the field, that was Carlton Davis. We don't currently have that on the roster. That is not DJ Reed. It talked about vertical speed, having the speed to cover vertical routes, vertical phasing. We don't have that on the team. Go back and look at DJ Reed in the sprinter stance, taking off after the guy that was burning him. We don't have that currently on the roster. So because of the failings of the DB snob, we could use 17 on Mansour Delane. And if we use 17 on Mansour Delane, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to crash out because I like the player. Huh? Do I sound like Brad Holmes now? I like the player. The player. I do like the player. And it is a need because our corners are cheeks. I'll tell you again, always, that Terrion Arnold can be something. He's not that He's not that right now. DJ Reed is an overpriced paperweight. That's what he is right now. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Let me get y'all in here. It seems like Brad can draft good safety, but not CBs. I just think that's weird. Facts, because he's a DB snob. If he's snobbing for DBs, safeties and cornerbacks are DBs. They're defensive backs. So you should be good at both of those things. Not just one. You're a DB snob. Right? If I'm a water snob, that means I'm a snob for all types of water. I can talk to you about the best tap water, the best still water, the best bottled water, the best effervescent water, the best soda water, the best tonic water, because I'm a water snob. And I can give you the game on any type of water. But this DB snob can only give you the game on a safety, but not a corner. It's weird. Doesn't make sense. With the Lions not having a tackle, they better not be looking to draft a cornerback in the first round. See, and this is the problem. This is the problem. It's the problem. When you don't fill the holes that you have properly, you go to the draft with the BPA mindset, and at 17, if you sit there and stay at 17, Mansour Delane might be BPA. And again, I don't hate the player. I don't hate the position. It is a position of need, and the player is very good. You know, that's when Brad Holmes feels good, when they line up like that. The problem is when you go to the scale, when you go to rating the needs, is cornerback a much more detrimental situation than tackle? I actually think that there could be an argument. The current state of our CB room with Tweedledee and Tweedle Hansy and the pig who made his house out of straw, would that be in our cornerback room right now? Could you honestly be super angry? That's why I said if they draft Mansour Delane at 17, I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to crash out. I'll be glad that we finally got a corner. But the problem is it comes at the expense of us getting a tackle. Because there will be guys in the second round on the defensive, on the edge, that we can get that would be productive. Danny Dennis Sutton is a name that hopefully after his pro day, he doesn't start rocketing up, draft boards and get taken in the first round. But Danny Dennis, one of my draft profiles was on Danny Dennis Sutton. We have no problem at all with him. And if you can get him in the second, that's awesome. But if you don't get a tackle and you go in with Larry Borum, who people are trying to tell me is better than Taylor Decker, what else can I say, bro? What else can I say? Hold on, let me close the view so I can get. All right. Cannot remember all the times Detroit would draft a player and even the draft experts would be scratching their heads decade after decade. Now we were actually excited about the NFL draft. Oh, we were excited before. It was our Super Bowl. We just didn't do well in it. It was just the eternal optimism that all of us had. I don't think the league would let the Lions get Crosby. They still barely keep us out of the playoffs. I'm telling you, Sheila got to up that. Bro, I don't even know if the Lions were ever interested. That's the thing. I don't even think that's a league situation. That was a good ploy to get the fans off his back. I do not believe we were ever in on Max. I do not believe we were ever in on any noteworthy player other than Mays. Facts. First round, tackle of the future, second edge, third DB, fourth linebacker, picks, not rounds. I do see a trade in second or third. Well, maybe that doesn't happen because BPA. We don't chase needs. That's what Brad told you. Then I'll sleep till August. Here's a question. Have the Lions lost anyone from the scouting department since the 2023 draft? That is a good question. We should dive into that. Let me answer your question. All right, we'll see what happens. What up, though? Get back, Joe. We're going to see exactly who left. Got to have that owner to own this team and get us there. Uncle Phil is a joke. Smartest guy in the room. Don't do that, man. I like Uncle Phil. Yeah, I'm still done with the villain no matter what he does in next month's NFL draft. What if he drafts 15 All-Pros with his 9 picks? You think that whoever that left may have been the main man and the Lions have been slowly slipping since? Time keep on slipping into the future. It says, yes, the Detroit Lions have lost a prominent member of their scouting department since the 2023 NFL draft. Key departure, Mike Martin. In February 2025, the Lions director of scouting advancement left the organization to become the general manager for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football program. So 2025 that doesn't explain this. Mike Martin had been with the Lions since 2021, joining as one of general manager Brad Holmes' first external hires. He was a highly ranked personnel executive who played a significant role in evaluating talent and building the roster that helped Detroit reach its recent historic milestones. So while Mike Martin did leave, he left last year, February of 2025. So that means that the work he did for the 2025 draft was still there. He's a scout. So that means that he can do the work, but that doesn't mean they have to listen to him. Right? Maybe since he left in February, which is after the Super Bowl, maybe the 2025 draft was lackluster because he wasn't there to put a stamp on it. But that doesn't explain how 2024 happened. That doesn't explain taking Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw back to back, which again, you still could have taken Nate Wiggins and Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean would have, again, we went over this yesterday. Cooper DeJean would have given you more. You would have had to use more ammo to get up there, but it would have been what it would have been. Feel me? Okay. Everyone talks about Howie and Les. Only Lions fans glaze Brad. Brad gets more glaze than Dan. Brad gets more glaze than a Krispy Kreme donut. If you know, you know, use the hashtag. Some good scouts left and Ish been falling off since. The main guy that left, I don't know. Don, will you, Derek, and Mike be live tonight? I think we are doing a mailbag show. I think we're doing a mailbag show. All right, let's get to the next person that we might draft in round 2. All right, second round, Chris Johnson. CJ2K, San Diego State. Johnson dominated the Mountain West Conference in 2025. Ooh, the Mountain West. If his production carries over to the pro level, he might become a shutdown level CB. Could he be this year's Quinyon Mitchell? Could he be this year's Quinyon Mitchell? Bonus second round option, Trayden Stukes, Arizona. A team captain at Arizona. Stukes is a hybrid corner who tested well at the NFL Combine. That it would be him because he's a team captain. He recorded 4 interceptions and 6 passes defense in 2025, earning a 90.1 overall defensive grade from Pro Football Focus for his efforts. The overall mark ranked 6th among 897 qualified corners. So if you can get number 4 in the first round and number 6 in the second round, I'd be much happier with drafting a corner in the second round. But here's the other problem. If you draft a tackle in the first round and you draft a tackle in a corner in the second round, guess what you're not drafting? Edge rusher. You see how this works? You see why this makes you angry? That's what I told you. Drafting a cornerback in rounds 1 or 2 is going to make you angry because they missed out on something. Drafting a corner from rounds 3 to 7 is no big deal. Because you've done what you needed to do, hopefully in rounds 1 and 2. Hopefully you've gotten a tackle and an edge or an edge and a tackle. Hopefully you filled 2 large needs on both of your lines. People say this, and they're absolutely right. People say that you don't build a team through free agency. And that's 100%. Unless you're the New England Patriots and you built your entire defense pretty much through free agency last season and got to the Super Bowl. But is it sustainable? You know, the money, the terms, all that. Is it sustainable? Who cares about sustaining anything? The New England Patriots, a franchise that has 6 Super Bowls, was just like, you know what? By hook or by crook, we need to get better and we need to get back to what we're used to, which is going to Super Bowls. So they spent a bunch of money and brought in a bunch of free agents and they got to the Super Bowl. They lost. They got there. Now, you can't win the Super Bowl unless you're in it. Now, their windows may be closed or whatever you want to say because of the contracts, the money due, all this other stuff, and then they're going to have to cut this and trim that and do all these other things. That's fine. They got to the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure that the nucleus of that team is going to be there next year. I'm pretty sure there's not going to be too many cuts because of cap casualties. As I said, most of those guys are on the first year of their deal. So they might have a couple more runs left in them. And then it may all fall apart. But at least they're going to be able to get the runs. Who knows? Maybe Drake May matures and they make another run of it next season. And they get back and win it. And not likely because of historical data. This says it's very likely for the Super Bowl loser to not even make the playoffs the next season. But if they keep the same team much, intact, okay, they've already lost people like Stephon Diggs and stuff like that, but who, whatever. He's a receiver. He can be replaced. You got to get there first. You don't build a team through free agency unless you're willing to pay $100 million in contracts during that free agency period. But you also can't use free agency to fill holes, not adequately fill them, and then act like you filled them and you go to the draft and just do BPA like you don't have needs still. That doesn't work either. If you draft a cornerback in the first round, you are sacrificing something. If you draft a cornerback in the second round, you are sacrificing something. And you're drafting this corner in the first round and you're drafting this corner in the second round because you don't have anybody really established and good on your team in that cornerback room right now. Does that make sense? So poor management of the CB position has led us to this discussion where we want to know who are the targets that we could target in the draft for corner. But then what's the trade-off? That's the problem. All right. What up, though, Zach J? I remember a couple of years ago something about the scouting department getting picked. It's possible. I like Uncle Phil too, especially when he helps build the better Detroit Lions team to win. No, I mean the actual Uncle Phil. Didn't he die? He did die. Yep, he did. What's the injury record? You have to fail. You have to fall into Brad's required framework. I don't have an injury history on these guys. What up, though? Here's Johnny. Was TA really the best player available in 24? No. No, he wasn't. No. Nope. All he does is hire injury-prone players. He's drafted a few injury-prone players, too, in his break straw. A good GM would be able to trade back and get more picks and still hit on them instead of just trading up time and time again. I mean, I would say that in this particular draft, we are in a catch-22. We are at 17 and 50 and no third round pick. We're in a position where we need top-tier talent on the offensive line. We need top-tier talent on the defensive line. We need top-tier talent in the safety, in the secondary, namely in the cornerback room. We have all these needs that we have to fill with top-tier talent, but we also have more needs in the top 100 than we can fill with the picks that we have. So you need to trade back. But you need top-tier talent. And you're right in the middle of the first round where someone could be falling who you thought was going to be picked higher, and you can trade up to get them. If that person is falling and he's top tier and he fits a need, I'd rather you trade up to get him than to trade back to get more picks. So it is kind of a catch-22. In 2024, there was no catch-22. You could have traded back to get more picks because what you did was trade up to get Terrion Arnold, which again wasn't necessary. As I said, you could have sat there at 29 and drafted Nate Wiggins. You could have. So it is what it is. I don't know. But if you would have traded back, you could have got Cooper DeJean without having to trade up. So it was what it was. You know, you weren't getting Quinyon Mitchell. You didn't trade up for him. Let the Eagles get him. You let the Rams get Jared Verse, and then you panicked and you traded up and picked Terrion Arnold. So, with the 17th pick, the Detroit Lions take CB Dingle McCringleberry. I think you mean Hingle McCringleberry. Maybe Dingle is his brother. Dingle McCringleberry still got to be better than what we got. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Any corner that you draft in the first round is probably going to be better than what we have currently. And so we're in that situation. And that's a problem. Trading back and getting Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, and Branch would have been the greatest draft of all time if there wasn't a third round. I mean, you could have just got somebody in the third round. Like you could have got quite a few people, but you got Hendon Hooker and Broderick Martin. You could have just chosen Colby Turner, Yahya Diaby, somebody like that, and been fine in the third round. But you chose Hendon Hooker and then traded back up to get Broderick Martin. That's the problem. Yeah, that third round was the biggest stand on that draft. Facts. Everyone always goes back to the Gibbs draft, but what I would argue is you took a running back, linebacker, and tight end, typically not highly valued positions early in the draft. Of course, you're going to hit on those guys. I mean, was Jack Campbell a hit until he developed? I mean, he wasn't an immediate hit. Gibbs and Laporta were immediate. You know, there were people trying to throw Jack Campbell out with the trash. I like Fresh Prince. He's just a good nickname for the smartest guy in the room. I mean, Brad doesn't deserve that nickname. Maybe Brad is the Fresh Prince because he slapped all of us in the face. Pascal had some kind of injury or health issue. He hit on JMO. Breakstraw and quite a few later round picks did not play in year one or missed time unavailable. It was the selection of Josh Pascal. It was the selection of Levi Onwuzurike. I don't think they were good players. Levi Onwuzurike had spinal fusion surgery in college. He was also a tweener coming out. It was also, since you like to double down on positions, why didn't you double down on the edge? Why didn't you go get Hutch and then immediately go get his partner? Oh, wait, you did in the 6th round in a guy named James Houston. And they looked at James Houston. You know, part of this was probably James Houston's fault. You know why? Because James Houston, so if y'all don't know the story, James Houston was involved in a credit card scam at the University of Florida. And though he basically said he wasn't the perpetrator, it was just friends were coming around with all this money, grabbing food and clothes and all this other stuff, and he was just receiving the goods and not asking questions. Right? He wasn't asking what a bunch of college kids were doing with all this money and buying him these things. So what happened with that situation was that his coach apparently hated him after that and just basically wouldn't give him any PT, so on and so forth. This is when he was at the University of Florida as a linebacker. So then he goes over to Jackson State with Coach Prime, and Coach Prime tells him, if you're going to make it in the NFL, it's as a pass rusher. And there was pushback because James Houston had always played linebacker. I think that when he got in the league and the Lions saw what he could do on the defensive line, and Aaron Glenn went to him and said something about linebacker, he's like, yeah, I played in Florida. I'm speculating. But the fact that they couldn't take a guy who was a pass rush specialist, I know he broke his ankle and he had to get tightrope surgery and all that other stuff, and probably needed a couple years, right? He did well in Dallas, situational pass rusher. Probably needed a couple years. And then the Lions looked at him like, we don't have a place for you because our scheme requires you to be 6'6", 280. So, you know. Thanks for the show and what you do along with Lions Syndicate and keeping us Detroit Lions fans filled in your loop. But I'm a Detroit Tigers first. They on shortly. Hey, appreciate you coming through. I cannot do baseball at all. But if I did do baseball, I definitely would be a Tigers fan. So I'm a fan of the team in spirit. Don't know who's on the team. Can't tell you nothing about it. But, you know. Mailbag, total Brad Holmes pick missed time in the first year and the first 2 years. I have to get that research. Actually, you know what? Come to Syndicats 365 and we'll try to answer that question for you. Brad is a product of the fans. McDonald's don't lower their prices because they know people aren't going to stop eating there. I mean, McDonald's prices are already low in the first place. I've stopped eating there. I haven't eaten at McDonald's in 9 months, maybe. Houston got hurt in year 1. Yeah, I know he got hurt. What up, though, Mr. Morale 313? Touche. Melvin doesn't care about edge rushers. The man has spent more time looking at and selecting a kicker than he has looking at a pass rusher other than Hutch. And Hutch was hand delivered to us. This is true. This is true. All right, let's check something. All right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. Let me go ahead and hop off of here because I got a handyman here that I need to figure out what he's gonna do because we'll be live in about 15 minutes for Syndicates 365. So let me go ahead and handle that, and I will see you guys over there. Hopefully, once again, the Motor City Cats are back at it. We came to give you stats, not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your lines news pragmatic. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Seems like 2 or more picks get hurt before the season and don't ever play much at all. This is not good for Brad. Facts. All right, we'll see y'all in about 15 minutes on Syndicates 365. All right, we are out. Peace.